أيها الزملاء المشرعون، الجرائم تؤذي المجتمع دائماً.
Fellow legislators, crimes always harm society, but there are crimes that betray the people's trust. It is a mistake to think that stealing from the public treasury means stealing from the government. In reality, it is stealing from the children who need schools, the families requiring hospitals and medicines, the elderly receiving pensions, the single mothers receiving support to raise their families, and the security and well-being of the people of Mexico. That is why I am here to express my indignation and the firmness with which we must condemn the events that have come to light regarding the hydrocarbon smuggling and tax fraud ring, events implicating former Baja California Governor Ernesto Rufo Apple, along with various individuals and corporate entities. These events are serious because they reveal an organized crime structure that operated through the irregular importation of fuel, the fabrication of commercial transactions, the use of various companies linked to the falsification of customs and tax documentation, and the subsequent distribution of hydrocarbons to lend an appearance of legality to goods that had entered the country irregularly. May I, Deputy? Yes, Deputy Bernal. For what purpose, Deputy? Thank you very much, Madam President. If you would allow me to ask the Speaker a question, please. Certainly, go ahead. Thank you very much. Deputy, it is well known to us all that the opposition has constructed a false narrative to label those of us who are part of this great transformation project as everything from fuel thieves to drug traffickers. My specific question is, what is your opinion regarding these lies and slanders, coming from those who currently lack credibility and moral standing, and indeed never had them, but certainly lack them even more now that the opposition, specifically the PAN, has made these statements against our colleagues? Thank you, Deputy. There is a common saying in my hometown for those who lie, that they lie as easily as they breathe, but I believe that falls short when describing the Mexican opposition. In this chamber and in the Chamber of Deputies, over the course of the years spanning July 2025 to July 2026, the terms huachicaleros, fuel thieves, or fiscal huachical were uttered more than 100 times. 77% of the time, these terms were used by the PRIN opposition bloc to label us, the colleagues who make up the transformation movement. The sole intention behind using that phrase was to divert the Mexican people's attention away from those who have truly colluded and organized themselves into what are essentially organized crime cells. But the most serious aspect of this, and I want to state this loud and clear so it is heard all the way in the district I represent, is that they have used this podium, the very same one we have used to enshrine the fundamental rights of the Mexican people in the Constitution, to spread lies. They called us drug traffickers and fuel thieves. Yet, the only government proven to be implicated in drug trafficking is that of the National Action Party, PAN, specifically during the administration of Felipe Calderón, involving Garcia Luna. And now, they are making their debut as criminals in another arena, fuel theft. The saddest part is that the person involved is none other than Ernesto Rufo Apple, the man they hail as the governor of the democratic transition. The issue of fuel theft is nothing new. The stage was perfectly set by Enrique Peña Nieto's energy reform, a measure the opposition was only too happy to vote for at the time. Prior to Peña Nieto's reform, Pemex was the only entity authorized to import and market petroleum products. That pernicious reform handed over more than 1,000 permits to private entities for the importation of fuels and derivatives. And therein lay all the necessary ingredients for those who have distinguished themselves in the service of the nation. That concludes my response. I would like to conclude by noting that investigations conducted to date by the Attorney General's office estimate the volume of fuel trafficking at over 18 million liters. This could translate into a loss of hundreds of millions of pesos for the federal treasury. And as the investigations progress, that figure will certainly rise. I wondered what 4 billion pesos actually amounts to, the figure some media outlets have cited as the potential value of this fuel trafficking. Coming from a rural district, I honestly couldn't quite visualize what 4 billion pesos represents. So I put it in perspective. 4 billion pesos is enough to cover the well-being pension for senior citizens for 104,167 people for a full year. It is the amount needed to pay for 6,000 new homes under the well-being housing program.
حاكم التناوب إرنستو روفو أبيل. قضية سرقة الوقود ليست جديدة. لقد تم إعداد المسرح المثالي لذلك من خلال إصلاح الطاقة في عهد إنريكي بنيا نيتو، وهو الإصلاح الذي كانوا سعداء جدا بالتصويت لصالحه في ذلك الوقت. قبل إصلاح إنريكي بنيا نيتو، كانت شركة بيميكس هي الجهة الوحيدة المخولة باستيراد وتسويق المنتجات النفطية. مع ذلك الإصلاح المشؤوم، تم منح الخواص أكثر من 1000 تصريح لاستيراد الوقود ومشتقاته، وهناك وجدوا كل المكونات اللازمة لمن تميزوا باستغلال الوطن لمصالحهم. هذا كل ما لدي بخصوص الرد. أود أن أختم بالقول إن التحقيقات التي أجراها مكتب المدعي العام للجمهورية حتى اليوم تقدر حجم تهريب الوقود بأكثر من 18 مليون لتر، وهو ما قد يترجم إلى خسارة لخزينة الدولة بمئات الملايين من البيزو. ومع تقدم التحقيقات، من المؤكد أن هذا الرقم سيرتفع. كان لدي تساؤل حول قيمة 4 مليارات بيزو، وهو الرقم الذي ذكرته بعض وسائل الإعلام كحجم محتمل لتهريب الوقود. وبما أنني قادم من منطقة ريفية، فأنا في الحقيقة لا أستطيع تصور حجم مبلغ 4 مليارات بيزو، لذا قمت بتحويله إلى واقع ملموس. إن مبلغ 4 مليارات بيزو هو ما يلزم لدفع معاشات الرفاهية لكبار السن لعدد 104,167 شخصاً لمدة عام واحد، وهو المبلغ المطلوب لبناء 6000 وحدة سكنية جديدة ضمن برنامج السكن الاجتماعي، أو إذا نقلناه إلى الإقليم الذي أمثله، فإنه يمكن رصف ما يصل إلى 571 كيلومتر من الطرق بتكلفة 7 ملايين بيزو للكيلومتر الواحد. أختم قولي بأن العدالة ستطالهم، وسنواصل الدفاع عن مكسيك تستخدم فيه الموارد العامة لتغيير الحياة للأفضل، مكسيك تكون فيه النزاهة مبدأ حكمنا، ومكسيك تكون فيه العدالة حقيقة واقعة. كم